So hello and welcome to the UCI Cyclo-cross World Cup from Gavere in Belgium. It's a men's elite race racing the way around the Grenier Castle on the side of the slopes that are covered in trees. The mud, well, it played absolute havoc with the women's race. If you haven't seen it, make sure you have a watch. Really telling about just who's on form as we go into the second half of the World Cup season. Today's temperatures, well, it's pretty cold, it's pretty wet, and it's definitely muddy. Who's it going to suit? Will it be our World Cup leader, Michael van Turenhout, who still leads from Toon as Elizabeth in third place in the standings, one of a number of notable absentee riders from this race, including Laurens Feet, the rider in fifth place. So lots to be gained by the riders behind in the overall series standings. Not on that list, working his way up through towards the top, though, is Mathieu van der Poel. He will be taken to the start line. This is a race where he rode clear to victory. Last year, he's on winning form. He took the victory in Mol. That was the day after the Zonhoven Cross, where he'd taken victory before. He's the #1 rider on those start lists. And absentee riders, Elizabeth third in the series standings, Laurens Feet fifth in the series standings, Nolanda Los Anton Ferdinand. Now, interestingly, also going to be missing Cody Scott from Canada, and Maxime Sanonge also from Canada, but the Slovakian Dries Brunseels and Hungarian rider Somzor Takas missing from France, Cyprien Gilles and Louis Tanguay not on the start line. So a real mix-up of riders, a number of riders, of course, falling foul of injury on the way through the season. A number of riders finding that they're not on the form that they wanted to be, and maybe not taking the start line and choosing to rest rather than race all the way through. This race that kicked off in 1955 with a real strong history of racing. However, in the all-time victory,
it's hard as always. Yeah, it will be survival from first minute to the last one.
Is this something for road cyclists?
Oh, I don't know. It's really quite deep in the mud and quite technical as well. It's a really nice course. It will be a tough one. I can compare it a bit with the Koppenberg last year. Yeah, I think one of the hardest races on the schedule.
Michael van Turenhout, what did you learn from the Reckon?
It's very hard, harder than last year, I think. But yeah, we will see in the race, and hopefully have the good legs.
But you're always good on hard circuits.
Yeah, I like it. I like to halfway the race that you know which place you are. So yeah, for me. It's good like this, so yeah, I'm just hoping for good legs.
I just did only one lap and I was already busy for like 20 minutes, I think. I have to clean my bike during one recon lap, so that means a lot. It's a very tough course, it's wet, it's a lot of mud, but I like it.
What about the tire pressure?
Very low. I was now riding already with 1.2 in the front, 1.3 in the back, and I think I'm gonna ride today with around 1 bar in the front and 1.1 in the back. That's really low. It's maybe a risk, but the speed is so low. They're not like big stones which you can hit on high speed, so it's a risk, but I will take it.
Mathieu van der Poel, did you enjoy the Christmas days?
Yeah, it's always nice. It's cozy, so good food. It's always good.
You did 3 laps. What did you learn?
Yeah, it's as I expected. It's super hard. And yeah, it's getting worse every lap that riders are doing the recon, so it will be a very, very tough race.
Well, if Mathieu van der Poel is a very tough race, then you know everybody else is in for a tough time. They're interested here, Thibaut Nice there, the man whose father holds the overall victories, which is where we were before we dived into the interviews, with 9. Mathieu van der Poel holding 4 victories. The other victors in the race start list are Lars van der Haar, Michael van Torenhout on the podium, but not taking away a win here previously. He's our World Cup leader with 2 wins and a 3rd place. He's been chased by Tournet, 2nd place in the World Cup Series overall. 2 second places, 1 in Dublin, 1 in Namur. He makes his way down to that start line. Next down will be the rider in 4th place, because we have no Eli Isabit, the 3rd place rider overall, Pim Roja, who had a good ride in Hulst, taking a podium position, taking 3rd place there. The rider who's best on this course is 8th last year. Lars van der Haar, one of an elite list of winners of this race, and Eli Isabit, the other rider who was due to start, not taking to the start with Mathieu van der Poel. So it is Van der Poel and Lars van der Haar the only previous winners here. Lars with his best position, 5th place in Zonhoven so far in the World Cup. He's going to be chased down to the line by Joran Verschuren, a 3rd place in Zonhoven, taking that podium position in that big sand course that was last weekend. It's certainly going to be interesting to see how he goes. He got 4th place in Mol only a couple of days ago as well, so really riding strongly. Felipe Orts, the rider with a 2nd place in Hulst, a 3rd place in Dublin, 2 podiums. A silver and a bronze. If it was the medals, if you believe the top spot, that golden top spot, would it be today in the mud? One man who's looking really good in practice, Niels van der Poel, along with Mathieu van der Poel, looking some of the smoothest riders out there. Thibaut Nice also being touted as looking good on the course. No surprise that Niels van der Poel was his victory in Hulst in the mud. They showed just how good he is when things get sketchy. Thibaut Nice, one of our younger riders, a 2nd place in Zonhoven, coming back into form once again. He's got a lot of work to do to take 9 wins like Sven Nys, but you never know. I do try and avoid talking about his dad very much. Nobody likes being compared to their mums and dads necessarily, even when they are a legend like Sven Nys. Thibaut really coming into his own and carving out his career on road and off. Mathieu van der Poel, well, he is on row number 2. Watch out also on row number 2, Emil Verstring, another rider who could be right up there, just to Van der Poel's right or left. Also watch out for Kevin Kuhn, he's on the 2nd row. Mies Hendricks is on good form at the moment. As we take a look at Thibaut Nice on row number 1. A bit further back, Cameron Mason on good riding at the moment. He's got good history at this race. He is currently sitting on the 3rd row of 11 rows here. Interesting looks to Bow here from France. He's sitting on row number 6. Other riders to watch out, Thibaut de Grosso could be a rider definitely to watch out. You can see him just behind Lars van der Haar. He is also on row number 3. So as the clock ticks down, Michael van Torenhout wearing the red and white of the series leader, the World Cup series leader's jersey. He's doing a great job of really holding on to that lead. His lead at the moment from Tournet's 22 points. It's not insurmountable, but it's going to be hard to beat him at the moment, because he keeps picking up points. Even when he has a bad day, he's still having a pretty good day by most people's standards. Joran Verschuren on great form, coming out of Zonhoven, going through Mol, looking good, up against Tournet's, a rider in this race. He's had podiums here before. Can he repeat that? And scoring well on the way through. Felipe Orts, a rider who seems to excel more in the mud than the sun. There's certainly some great rides by him. Takes the last drink from the water bottle before handing back the jersey. You can see just in front of Ryan Camp and co. Queued up behind. And then Niels van der Poel. Will today be his day? He likes it when it's slippery and it's really thick, hard, sloggy mud today here in Gavere. It is not super slick all the way round, and it may well be that that doesn't work for him. Will we see Mathieu van der Poel get to the front and right, clear early doors? Will he be able to repeat what he did in Zonhoven? Just over a minute of racing before he took that race lead and was not seen again till they crossed the line. We'll see if that's going to be the case. The pressure on Van der Poel. 4 wins here so far, a 2nd place and a 3rd place in his 7 appearances. What can he do? Riders go when the lights turn green. So we go for good to go racing, and we've big problems on the right hand side. Felipe also getting in all sorts of trouble there. A slip pedal from somebody else which has caught them out. It means that the entire right hand side, as we look at it, the left hand side of the rider's grid has got held up on the way through. Thibaut Nice in prime position coming round that left hand turn. Lars van der Haar glued to the back wheel, and there are plenty of places to be made up by riders further back. You need a telescope to see from the very back to the front with 11 rows. It's a huge mass of riders threading the way out and away from the Grenier Castle, dropping down into the woodlands and out and round the grounds. Nice, Van der Haar being followed by Van der Putten. Miss Hendricks, another great start by the rider in green, sitting in 4th position on the course. Pim Ronhaar just moving up into what is going to be 5th place, just ahead of the first of the riders outside of Tupton, and Pim Ronhaar diving down the inside there on Mies Hendricks. Absolutely dive bombing, wanted to stay ahead of Van der Poel. He's moving his way up, maybe not quite as quick. Another move up the inside. He doesn't get trapped. Really interesting, some of the observations. Very rare that Van der Poel gets trapped in the tight inside of the bend. He often goes to the outside and gets tangled on the way round there. He's not having it his own way. The world champion not being given much room to move here. And as we go on to this long traverse, keeping the bike moving forward, absolutely key here. A left-hand turn, the first of our pit areas, 620 metres from the start line, and you can see Thibaut Nice going in for a change of bike already. Interesting move by him. So far, only one rider going in. Now, this is the issue for Van der Poel. He went in, he had to come across, goes out wide there, and you can see having to remount. So definitely not going to be as quick. We're going to hit 2 minutes before Van der Poel has reached the front. At the moment, he's still caught in traffic, about 8 riders down. Another look over the shoulder by Nice. Interesting. Van Torenhout staying out of trouble, keeping it smooth up near the front of the race. Boris going around the apex of that bend, being chased as riders throwing it all the way to the limit of the grip and more. Pim Ronhaar sliding around that corner as they come round into this descent. Van der Putten, Ronhaar, Van der Haar, all coming through in front. Oh, real shoulder barge in there. Massive dive in there. You just saw that big move across. That's an interesting move there by Rodriguez of Spain, just coming belting in and to the corner, muscling his way in. And it's not going to win him many friends in the cyclo-cross peloton doing that. At the front of the race, though, the gap opening, continuing to stretch. It's the 2 riders in front, Nice and Van Torenhout, a quartet of riders then immediately behind. 2 from the Belmont Trek squad there in Ronhaar and Van der Haar. You've got Van der Putten and Hendricks tucked in. Then it's Tunes leading Mathieu van der Poel. Thibaut de Grosso on his way up. De Grosso riding the Under-23 World Cup and the main World Cup. And this is that big dive down the shoulder barge in there. Very interesting move. That will definitely see the commissaires taking a look. They are the race referees, if you're not up to date with the name in cycling. They're called commissaires. They are there to ensure fair racing, that the course is safe, that everybody doesn't transgress any of the rules, whether that be the height of your socks or whether that be the type of bike you're riding, to ensure that everybody is safe, make sure that everybody follows the same standards. And whilst we might joke about this height sock rule, there is a good reason for it, because there's an aerodynamic advantage in having long socks, would you believe? the papers written on it are endless. Now, Van der Poel on the side, not going to make any difference in a cross race what height your socks are, other than there's more fabric to wash in the mud here at Gavere, because if you've got white socks on, they're going to get muddy real quick. Thibaut Nice remounting, getting out of that mud, back onto the saddle, trying to stretch a gap here, trying to put everybody else under pressure, but it's a huge queue behind Van Torenhout. The World Cup leader staying out of trouble. They're still sitting on the front, and Van der Poel biding his time a little bit here. But due to be a tough race, remember this race due to be about 60 minutes long. We're just under 5 minutes into the racing. The congestion behind our race leaders causing riders to bunch up, causing riders to bump and budge, causing riders to tangle with each other. Always a risk, always a gamble. If you're in amongst the rest of the riders, your fate is not always in your own hands. Into the big descent, drop down here. This is not a straight run down either. This tips to the left, then to the right, then to the left again. And the inflatable barrier able to be surfed by some of the riders, and Van der Poel, by the look of it, already having to use it for stability there on his way down. He's bouncing off that inflatable. I'm sure we'll probably take a look back at that. Not often we see him not keeping it under control on that descent as he runs with the bike beside him on that ascent. And looks like that is going to be Conor van Kessel, who is right up on his heels. Oh, big mistake by Thibaut Nice. He came down, he was keeping it under control, but the grip went, the bike went down. That was a big old hit for Thibaut Nice down on his left-hand side. Fortunately, by going down on the left, the drive chain, the rear mech is kept safe. Oh, he took his hand off the handlebars to throw some mud off. It unweighted the right-hand side of the bike. That could have been just enough, because when you're putting pressure down on the outside there, you're putting it on the side, it's pushing the bike into the hillside. Take your hand off to take the mud off. It's not what you want to do, because you're losing grip. Fortunately, he's recovered. He's into third place. Van Torenhout, the last to take a bike in that pit area. He goes out in the lead. Then Rohan, followed by Nice, followed by Van Kessel and Van der Poel. A little bit of a gap back to Van der Poel and Van der Haar behind. So pretty much all the riders with the right foot out, just scooting the way around that turn. Van der Poel and Van der Haar, though, keeping clipped in the pedals as they come around the side of the tree there. Rohan on a deep wide line here, trying to carry the speed and momentum. Stays in the pedals, drives up onto the wheel of Van Torenhout. Nice line taken by him, carrying that speed, trying to make sure that that momentum is maintained. Now a little bit further back, major issues on that downhill, on that descent. And that is not a good day at the office again for Ryan Camp. And again, he's tangled up with another rider with a bike in the way. The congestion, the carnage further back, taking its toll on riders, taking its toll on the bike. Van Torenhout and Rohan on the front. Nice holding third position. After that slide, that little drop of the bike, Conor van Kessel on a great ride here at the moment. Van Kessel really coming into his own on this course. Conor van Kessel's best ride here, a 7th position to date. A little bit further back, you can see Henrik Boris coming in through. Then Joran Verschuur, the man who's on the podium on Sunday, just dropping back. Thomas Mean in the traffic, all mixed up with that group a lot further down. Curry sitting in 17th position as they came through our last time check in the black and green of Hope Factory Racing. Scott Funson 26th at the moment in Akka, 28th, hovering inside the top 30 here at the moment. The riders up over the bridge that leads them alongside the VIP section on one side. The fans kept back. The next bridge, well, this is a zigzag bridge. You come up, you turn right, you turn left after having gone across the top of the fencing as Van der Poel makes contact. All of our leaders together, Rohan, Van Torenhout, Nice and Van der Poel. 4 riders going around the U-turn onto the straight to complete lap number 1 here in Gavere at round number 7. of the 12-round UCI Cyclo-cross World Cup of 2024-2025. 4 leaders, and that gap the length of the start straight here to that finishing line. Now Emil Verstringen leading that group through the next quartet of riders. Verstringen, Van der Poel, Van der Hart and Van Kessel. Then you're going to see Thibaut de Grosse go through ahead of Joran Verschuren, who leads through another group of 4 small groups on course. The man who's not having a good day at all at the office, 2 nets at the moment. He is languishing down in 15th position after coming into this round in 2nd place in the series, ahead of Elizabeth and ahead of Laurens Feet, both of whom haven't taken to the start. This is a prime opportunity to score big points and to move up and further ahead. He's not done that. He's at the moment languishing in 15th place. He really needs to pull that back. He will improve on those riders. The problem he's got, Pim Romhaar at the moment is sitting in this leading group. And Pim Romhaar is the nearest rider on the standings who's taken to the start. Nice off the bike and running. The other 3 continue to ride to get that drive down, to get the power down. Nice, when we come on to these cambers, just doesn't look to have the same performance here as the others, just not getting that same level of grip. He's off very, very quickly indeed. Pim Romhaar riding absolutely everything, takes the wide line each and every time. If you watch the rider in the red and blue there, when he comes into a corner, he takes the wide line, he finds the green. Green is grip, green is grass, green is good. That is where you're going to get the drive. That's where you're going to get the speed. Taking the wide line gives him that grip. Romhaar, nice line through there. And at the moment, Emil Verstringen also having a good section through there. He's pulling the gap back down again. He's got it down to, well, on our screen it says 9 seconds. It looked a lot closer than that to me as he came in through the pit. Only a few riders, including Michael Boris, not going in for a bite that time round. As to the front of the race comes Michael Van Torenhout. Van Torenhout on the front of the race. Behind Mathieu van der Poel hovers ominously. We all know that at some point he's going to open the throttle. He's going to engage that Van der Poel speed and all that extra power he seems to have over everybody else. He'll try and open that gap and then hold it, if not extend it. 4 leaders. The chase behind has fractured. It was 4 riders. At the moment, Emil Verstringen just opening a little gap on this man in the blue, and that is Niels van der Poel, the winner in the tricky conditions in that muddy, slippery, greasy slip slide that was Hulst. Now further back, 2 nets on the chase. Ertz, though, still sitting on the time gaps, and the timing screens is 15th place, just ahead of Thomas Mean in 16th, Jens Adams in 17th, Cameron Mason in 18th, Senna Remin in 19th, and Victor van der Poel in 20th. Felipe Orts at the moment 21st place for a rider who's been on the podium in this World Cup season. I was thinking a rider who took his first podium. Absolutely superb skills shown by him in the Moor. Bit more vertical ascent and descent in the Moor. A little bit trickier, more technical on a lot of the descents here. It's one really tricky descent, but there's a lot more in terms of sections where you have to maybe just get that power down. Probably none of the nearest in terms of the amount of riding, but a bit drier for the riders, even though it is muddy underfoot. T-Van really early putting the bike down there compared to the rest. Tries to get the drive, wants to keep that speed going. He wants to be back on the pedals pretty quickly here. Pim Romhaar running a lot further than everybody else. The last 2 remount of the leading 4 riders, losing a little bit of ground there. A little bit of a gap opening to Pim Romhaar. Going to have to chase this down. Really going to have to ride hard on this next section. The gap has opened though. Pim Romhaar working out which bit of the course. I think probably before he starts he's going to take the glasses off and hold them in his mouth on the way round. We've seen him do it in pretty much every race so far. burning energy, losing maybe a little bit of control each and every time he does. Depth of the ruts going round that corner. So the edge of the rear make the bottom of that rear jockey wheel must be almost dragging in the mud around that turn. The same on some of these sections on this downhill. This descent really tricky. T-Bone is just losing ground over the top, and on that descent, right foot out, just coming into the chicane at the bottom, and Pim Ronhaar bouncing off the inflatable barrier at the side. The ground he was losing, well, he's lost even more now. He's got to pick this pace back up, otherwise he's going to get snaffled up by Emil Verstringer behind. So the descent here by Ronhaar, couldn't get the turn in, the wheel just being flicked to the right, dropped him across into the barrier, no panic though. Van der Poel on the deep low line, it's going to be taking the long way into this corner. T-Bone's hugging the top, trying to keep that drive. Is he going to ride through it? Almost made it all the way round onto the turn there. Very different line by him coming in, as Ronhaar now knows that he's got the strain behind him. Then Van der Poel to Van der Haar. Then it's going to be Koen van Kessel and Thibaut Del Grosso chasing into the pit. Bike change for Van der Poel. It's going to be a bike change for Van der Haar. Van der Haar needs to push on here because he needs to get this bike exchange done in front of Van der Poel. The glasses come off from Van der Poel. There are two big warning signs for people. One when he takes off the glasses. Well, actually three. One when he enters, two when he takes off the glasses, and three when he takes off the gloves. Any of those signs mean you're going to be in for a tough day, and he's about to trigger a move. He's taken the glasses off. Will the gloves come off as well? We'll have to wait and see. Back in the pit, Van der Poel goes through with Van der Haar on his back wheel. A little bit of a dab there from Van Toren out, of course, in a dab also from Van der Poel. Van Toren quickly back on the go. There it's Van der Poel. T-Bone is just about hanging on to these two. Really has continued to push. He's treading a very different path on many sections of the course, just going, taking alternate lines. Sometimes it's paying off, sometimes it's not. Well, Van Toren must feel the weight of the shadow that is Van der Poel behind him. He'll know exactly who is hovering, waiting in the wings. Meanwhile, Pim Ronhaar, after that descent, after that problem, goes into the pit. He's handed the glasses over there. He's back and fully focused by the look of it, but Emil Verstringer has used the opportunity to close down the man sitting in at fourth place. That's the fight for fourth and fifth. This is fifth. Sorry, this is 6th and 7th place here, so 6th, 7th and 8th in fact, as we see just coming around the corner behind Koen van Kessel as well. And back with the race leaders. Oh, a little bit of a bubble from Van Toren. It pushes Van der Poel wide. He's out on the bad line here. It's got to put a lot more power down. Put too much down, he'll start spinning up the wheels. They're heading towards that VIP section and coming towards the end of lap number 2. Further down, Tuna still in that 15th place. He's got just in front of him. He's got two Van der Bosch in that battle. Michael Boris, Thomas Main. Looks like Jens Adams in that group. Mies Hendricks in there. And that's going to be really difficult to pick a good line in amongst all those riders. So leading three ascend the bridge after VIP as the chasing 4th and 5th place riders drop down, and it won't be long, I don't think, till Lars van der Haar is on their wheels as well. Van der Haar starting to fire that diesel into gear. Long look over the shoulder, a little bit of conversation going on there between those riders. Can't imagine anybody's going to help Mathieu van der Poel really on the way through. He's surely going to be left to do the work. You've got the world champion in with you. You've got the rider who has taken 4 wins in this race, who's ridden off already this season. You're not going to give him an easy ride if you can help it. Well, Van der Haar indeed making contact with Verstringer and Ronhaar in group number 2 on the road. So that's 4th, 5th and 6th, 7th place with 5 laps to go. This will be a 7-lap race in total. Our leading group going through chased behind that gap between Group 1 and Group 2, hovering around about 15 seconds behind. It's 25 seconds back to the start of the next group, and you can see this big chasing pack going through at about 45 seconds down, being chased themselves here by Cameron Mason, 18th position at the moment for Mason. Behind him, Orts is inside the top 20, as is Manu, and then it's going to be Sommer, Bommel, Ackert, along with Thomas, as Van der Poel goes on the front and on the move. Danger moment has arrived again as Van der Poel continues to push. Mistake by Thibaut Nice around that corner, and this is where, well, we are on lap number 3 of 7. I think Van der Poel waited till he knew how many laps were to go. He knew he had 5 left. He's going to go into the pit first. You're going to see Van Torenhout go in now. Van Torenhout on this pit gets the bike at the start of the pit. The pit positions are allocated out. The pit crews and roads can't change those. So on this pit, you could just see Van Torenhout taking it early. He's the last person going in the opposite direction. That's different to Van der Poel. Van der Poel, though, with that bike on the shoulder, the speed has gone up. The cadence of those legs and run just a little bit more spring in those steps. Van Torenhout runs, and look at this, Thibaut Nice is going to ride this. That's going to be to his advantage. No delay in getting clipped back in again, but can he use this? Can he carry that speed? You can't go too quick round this turn. If you do, you're going to be on the deck, foot out, flat out. He's still continuing to push, so Nice at the moment needing to get back in with our 2 leaders. Sits in 3rd place. But Van der Poel, he's pressed the button, he's put the match to the flame and has gone. Behind him, Ronhaar dropping back. Verstringer now past him. Van der Haar, the teammate of Ronhaar, past him as well. And looks like Van der Poel's closing down. Corny van Kessel currently sitting inside that top 10. Really on a good ride here. 8th place at the moment. And this could well be his best result of the season so far. To Corn van Kessel. Now, all these results outside the top 10. His best position so far to date, a 12th place in the World Cup Series. A 12th, 18th, and 19th, 24th and 32nd positions so far. So Conor van Kessel getting the timing right. If this is his form coming good, if it's the skills coming back in to line, well, they're doing that well, and a key period to do it when we're coming into the midway point of the World Cup season and we start heading in towards those World Championships at the start of February. Well, Van der Poel takes a look over his shoulder, and you've got Tunes and Thibaut Del Grosso coming. Thibaut Del Grosso, his teammate. Take a look up onto the hillside. As the riders look right, you can see the hillside section, basically the big climb, the big descent. You can see all that off to your right-hand side as you go along with the ditch to your right-hand side. There you look over that, over the water and up onto the banking. So Van der Poel up over the steepest section, remounts, starts to drive, starts to get the power down again, looking to continue to edge that gap back out over the World Cup leader directly behind him. The world champion leading the World Cup leader, leading the European champion at the moment. Those are your top 3. Making the way over the top of this hillside at the moment. Then it's Emil Verstringer, who's on another good ride, a rider that we've seen ride well when the going gets tough. He's looking like, after that ride in Namur, he's looking like he's coming back into form once again. Can he get back into a podium position? He needs to close down on the leading 3 riders. The nearest rider is Thibaut Nice. If he hesitates too long, the chase will come on from behind. At the moment, Tunes working his way up. Remember, he dropped down to 15th position, although he's in the mix in the chase. He is currently sitting. It looks like he's currently going to be sitting round about the 13th position. Van der Poel down at the bottom of the hillside down here. So down comes Van Torenhout. Then it's going to be Nice, much tidier that time round. Van der Poel taking that wider line Not all the riders doing so. Interesting watching the stringer going on the outside of the bend all the way down there. As does Van der Haar, being copied there by Ron Hart. A straightening out the corner, then a sharper turn coming from Van der Poel, just a little bit further back. Top of the banking, the top of this traverse. The higher line being taken by Nice and Van Torenhout than we saw being taken by Van der Poel. Van Torenhout just riding that little bit further, looking that little bit sprightlier as he jumps on as he comes in to the second pick. Going to go round this turn. Van der Poel get a clear indication here of where he is compared to his chasing rivals behind. So that deep right hand up being rolled round there, right foot out by Van der Poel. Then it's Van Torenhout and Nice. They're going to have the full length of this pit area between themselves and fourth place rider. That fourth place rider, Emil Verstringen, the Trudens Corridon squad. Verstringen goes in, and you could just see shout going out there. One of the other pit crews getting in the way. They're wanting to get ready for their rider coming in. And just slowing down the exchange there from the deposit of the old bike and the collection of the new one. I think Hayes quite a restrained shout, to be fair, coming into that. The mud is flying off the back wheel of Van der Poel there as he spins that wheel, keeps those pedals rolling, continues to open the gap. 17 seconds the gap at the moment from Mathieu van der Poel to Michael Van Torenhout on the right of your screen, and that World Cup leaders jersey behind him. It's Thibaut Nice. It's only a few seconds separating them. It's yo-yoing up and down dependent on the terrain that they're covering at the time. If any of these riders hesitate, Emil Verstringen and Lars van der Haar will be soon onto their wheels. Pim Ronhaar, the long-time chaser, just dropping back 4, maybe 5 seconds now between the back wheel of Lars van der Haar to Pim Ronhaar, who comes round that turn behind, chasing his teammates. These riders inside the top 10 though, as we see Niels van der Poel come round in 7th position, just come into sight in that familiar strip there of the Alpecin de Koenig squad. Van der Poel just pulling on that rope at the edge of the course, getting the drive, getting that little bit extra momentum, getting that little bit extra balance as he comes round. He's making his way up that slope as Mathieu van der Poel drops down onto the tarmac. The chasers on the way past the VIP section. And Thibaut Nice making contact with Michael Van Torenhout as they come up over that bridge, dropping down. Second and third place together. And that gap, well, it's not all that long ago that they were with our leader. Last time they came through here, 3 riders were together, and they're now 2. They've lost 1, and unfortunately he's gone off in front rather than backwards with 4 laps to go. Mathieu van der Poel came through his lead 27 seconds, I think 26 seconds from the 2 chasers. So he's hitting that half-a-minute marker already. Now, what's the gap going to be back to Pim Ronhaar? Pim Ronhaar was in the fight. He was in that leading group of 4. He's dropped back. He's got Lars van der Haar and Emil Verstringen between him and the group that he was with. He's falling back, and I think at the moment Niels van der Poel is riding himself up into the challenge here of potentially moving up into top 5 position. He's got to bridge across to the riders in front. Oh! Big mistake by Mathieu van der Poel, almost high-sides the bike, under control, dismounts. A big scare there for the world champion. That was at high speed. If he'd have got that even more wrong than it went, then he was going to be in trouble, but well corrected by the world champion there. Now a bit further back, we just see Jenti Mikkels come in through. Then it's going to be the Toon Cam Mason, Michael Boros group coming through there with Toon van der Musch. Here we go. Comes down at pace, comes down at high speed. The bike slips underneath him, almost flips back over. Fortunately, the speed had come off the bike at that point. Well, world champions are made of special stuff. Need to be to keep on doing things like that. They're going to need nerves of absolute tungsten steel, I think, to deal with that. But that is what makes them so good. Those lightning fast fighter pilot-like reactions to be able to deal with the slips and slides. Now a little bit further back, you can just see a correction there by Thibaut Nice as he came through there. The back wheel just dropping down and out. Nice just not looking as comfy on those traverses. Whether the tyre pressure is not quite as good on that section, he may be sacrificing that for having a faster rolling tyre elsewhere. The more grip you have generally, the slower the tyre will roll. The harder it is to make it move on the fast sections, of course, and it may well be that Nice is sacrificing that grip for those fast sections. Van der Poel on the descent down onto the few sections of roadway here in the course at Gavere. He's already down on that low section, heading into the big climb as the next group come through. Well, Mason doing what Mason does, recovering from what was a tough start to work his way back through the field and make up places. You can see the tyre pressures from Van der Poel on this harder section where they're not disguised by the mud, because you can see the tyres bellowing out at the bottom there as they're making contact with the ground. You get the same shot of Van Torenhout and needs to be interesting to compare the two tyre decisions there. Looks like Van der Poel already with the bike over his shoulder, pumping that left arm, just keep it in balance. I don't know about you, but I often wonder what Mathieu van der Poel thinks. Once he's gone clear at the front there, he's nobody to chase, he's just making the pace, he's setting his own rhythm. Just what goes through his head, he's gone clear, he's opened the gap. What does he think to himself? Is it just pure focus? How does he say so focused? Nobody to race against. They've all gone, it's just about technique, it's about getting the power down, running his own race. A real class apart with a big gap. It's 30 seconds or so at the moment. It's holding between him and the chasers behind. And so even further back at the moment, Thibaut Del Grosso on our last time check, 1 minute 22. Down on Mathieu van der Poel. The back of that group at the last time check, 1:27, 5 seconds covering that group on our last time checks, but they're going to come back together just before the base of the climb that we see our leader and our closest chasers on. Van der Poel taking a look early into the apex of that turn right foot out, not wanting to slide out there, just using it to stabilise himself, get some more momentum as he pushes down. Van Torenhout in front of Nice at the moment on the upper section of the climb. Van der Poel on the descent. Little dab on that left turn off the bike. He's going to run this up. Usually the quickest riders, very rarely do we see him run the bike. He's got to know it's fast every section, of course. He knows exactly how to get the most out of that machine. Into the descent. Van Torenhout looking to put pressure on Nice, but not getting a smooth run down. And Thibaut Nice, good correction there. Just went a little bit of an overcorrection around that turn. Left-hand dab down from both. They're going to be together coming up onto this long traverse as Mathieu van der Poel now starts to lap riders. Seeing the world champion going past them. Well, he's left everybody else easy set. Now starting to close down on the riders who set off at the same time. It shows you just how fearsome Mathieu van der Poel is in a race. He's going to go head into towards that pit. He goes down the right-hand side. The bike is ready. The pedals just put into exactly the correct position that he wants them to re-engage. Sprint, remount, clip back in again. Smoothly done by the world champion straight away out of that pit area. Well, we've seen a few close calls in that pit area with the mechanics and the teams under pressure, and we've seen a bit of congestion. We've already seen a few shouts going out on the way through. It looks like it's encroaching a little bit more each time with those mechanics at the far end of the pit area looking down, just trying to get a view down. It's pinching the exit each and every time. Hopefully they're going to keep well clear, all the mechanics in there, well practiced. Oh, Mathieu van der Poel, head of the race. One of the most used graphics on the show, probably, I think, that we have. It's probably the one that always gets prepped early on when they're putting together the what they're going to be showing, because you know that he's at some point going to try and put his nose out in front and then open that gap up. He did so early on. Once he knew that we were on a 7-lap race, he knew where that finish line was. He decided when to go. He left behind Michael van Torenhout and Thibaut Nice, the only riders who managed to stay with him at that point after Pim Ronhaar had been distanced. And it's left Michael van Torenhout and Thibaut Nice fighting for position. Michael van Torenhout having a great season, a third in Antwerp, taking the win in Dublin, taking the win in Namur. He was 7th in Hulst, 10th in Zonhoven. He's going to be back up onto the podium if he can maintain this. Thibaut Nice, a much more yo-yo season, a 12th place in Antwerp, missed Dublin. It was then an 11th place in Namur, 16th in Hulst, and then back on the podium for the first time for this season on that podium, a 2nd place in Zonhoven for Thibaut Nice. Who will be on there? What order will they be in when they get there? This man's been on the podium. It's Emil Verstringer. He is currently trying to stay with Lars van der Haar. Van der Haar along with Mathieu van der Poel, one of only 2 previous winners of this race to take to the start today. Well, van der Poel going to come through to complete lap number 4 of 7. See the crowd leaning over the barriers, banging on those boards, really applauding that world champion on his way through. 36 minutes of racing done to complete lap number 4. As in past VIP, onto the bridge comes the World Cup leader. Still got the shadow behind in the shape of Nice. Thibaut Nice holding on as Lars van der Haar continues to chase, who dearly looks to catch up with those riders battling out for a podium position. He doesn't want to take Emil Verstringer with him, and he's opened the gap on Verstringer. Verstringer trying to answer Lars van der Haar, who clearly goes well on this course. At the moment, nobody going as well as Mathieu van der Poel. The gap has continued to open this lap. They're going to go over the line. It's over 40 seconds separating van der Poel from the chasers behind. It's going to be well over a minute, I'm sure, by the time we get to the end, barring a major upset between now and the finish of the race. What's going to unfold behind? Well, Van Torenhout and Nice, that is a battle still to be decided. Van der Haar at the moment in the ascendancy, trying to bridge across to them. 14 seconds down on the duo in front. 10 seconds clear of Verstringer. And the top 5 through, it's going to be 6th at the moment with 3 laps to go for Pim Ronhaar. It's going to be a 7th place for Niels van der Putten, previous winner of a muddy race at Hulst this time in the season. Now, Van der Poel, you see the amount of mud on those tyres and on that bike. It's going to be in, it's going to be another bike change as he goes in. And Coach just taking a little bit of a step back there. Mason up to 8th place with Van Kessel, Verschuren and De Grosso for company. Toonets just a little bit further back here. Toonets not having as good a day maybe as he would have hoped for today. Then it's going to be Boris leading through Van der Bosch and Mikkels. Jente Mikkels, another rider who goes well when the going gets tough. They're going to be followed through by Thomas Meen, Jens Adams and Mies Hendricks. They're going to take us basically on the way through to the 15th to 16th positions, I think, as they go through. Jens Adams looking pretty good, still inside that top 20. David Manu, again, 19th place the last time check we had. Also looking good, top 20 at the moment for him. Thomas and Russelot of France, those two riders just ahead of Ian Ackert of Canada, currently sitting in 23rd position. Sommer of Switzerland in 24th place. 25th, rounding out top 25 for Nathan Brunel of France. Van der Poel, though, around that turn onto the roadway. Thibaut Nice and Michael Van Toren out side by side as they went along there. Nice taking the front just on this drop down. Van der Haar continuing to chase. The gap was only a few seconds as they came through. He's currently showing it's around about the 11-second mark between him and Thibaut Nice at the moment. Lots of chance for Emil de Stringer on his way through past the crowd there here in Gavere, round number 7 of the UCI Cyclo-cross World Cup 2024-25. 12 rounds, 1 round not being run. That was Cabrasel, the riders making the journey to Sardinia but not able to race due to the weather conditions as the storm came through. Matthew Van der Poel choosing to sit that round out, not make that trip. That's starting his season in winning style and continuing that at Mol. If you're just joining us, the big news in terms of non-starters, Ali Isbit not taking to the start along with Lawrence Feek. Both riders electing not to take a start here today. Riders in 3rd and 5th place in the series standings overall. I just see Thibaut Nice, he's just trying to get that chain to line up. I don't know whether he's had the chain come off. He's just spinning that round, trying to pick it up. Just looking to see if it's just bounced about. It looks pretty tight there. So maybe just didn't quite get the position he wanted the first time around. But certainly at the moment, just double checking now by giving that pedal an extra spin there. The awareness to keep an eye on what's going on with that bike, not just when you're riding it, but when you're picking it up, when you're dropping it down, when you're getting it on your shoulder. Very rare you see the riders going and get surprised by not being ready to engage. Matthew Van der Poel down into the descent, focused down that hillside, pushes it to the edge, little bit of a shimmy as he comes around that left-hand turn. No foot down though before he goes into this banking, carries that momentum. A planned dismount, you can see the track flattened by the bikes on that extent. Too steep to ride, too difficult to ride. Running by the side of it though, creating the steps that Van der Poel puts those feet into, pushing his way up the slope behind him. The chasers will be into that section very quickly indeed, but Van der Poel again drops down low, then picks his way up just after he goes underneath the staging there. Thibaut Nice on the descent, opening a little gap. He was pretty smooth down here last time, just stretching the lead out here, puts in the Van Toren out under pressure, and you could see that. Now is where Van Toren out is at a disadvantage. Doesn't have that smooth line. He dismounts to the right-hand side of the bike, dirty side. Bike going off to the left. So where Van Toren out putting his feet means if he avoids that smooth section, he's got the bike either on his shoulder or it's in a much bumpier section of ground. Far less people dismounting off to the dirty side, the drive side or the right-hand side of the bike as they jump on and off, and do so on the left-hand side, the clean side. So Matthew Van der Poel, ooh, nice little slide, very quick recovery. Some people, they make their own luck. Van der Poel doing that. The bike going out underneath, no dramas. Just kept on running. Now heading up into the pit. Both riders going to go in here. Thibaut Nice taking the right-hand line. Nice with, correction from Nice. Really just hold the bike up there, up that slope. It's not his favourite section, of course. He's gone in there in the race lead into that section. He just, that camber, that dropping away to the right-hand side, just not suiting him today. Really is his bête noire. Well, middle for a string coming up through the pit as Michael Van Torenhout goes off away out of sight, being chased by Thibaut Nice in third place, and Lars van der Haar, I think, starting to close down on those back wheels. It's only a few seconds, but it's 6 seconds on the timing screens as they left the pit between Thibaut Nice and Lars van der Haar. They're not far behind in terms of distance to Michael Van Torenhout. Now, this is the battle between Lars van der Haar and Michael Van Torenhout, and I'm not sure it'll be a battle between him and Thibaut Nice. They both want to be on the podium. They've got to close down on Van Torenhout, and the gap has come down behind Nice. Nice recovering from that section, getting that clean bike, as did Michael Van Torenhout. Lars van der Haar also in for a change, looking very focused. Technical courses, muddy courses tend to suit him, and he's coming good as it comes into the end of the races regularly. He's going to get a lot of support. He's been around for a while now as Lars van der Haar. He's getting no shouts. He's got to make his way up onto the wheels. None of them are going to see Mathieu van der Poel again. Surely 45 minutes of racing complete, 3/4 of the time allocation. Its aim is always to hit an hour or so as we come round Mathieu van der Poel. In that race lead, 45 minutes of racing done on lap 5 of 7. Looking down, trying to keep that grip, trying to get the power down. Lars van der Haar takes a straight route here, and each and every time he does that, he's going to be making ground. He's going to be getting a few more centimetres in pursuit of third and second place. First place is continuing to be stretched out by Mathieu van der Poel. Last time checked, 40 seconds between our race leader and the chasers behind, and even Mathieu van der Poel's time, that was his slowest lap, a 9:32. Remember, the course deteriorating with each and every footstep, each and every bike that rolls its way through, that spins up its wheels. It's chewing up the ground, and it's making it more difficult to get through. The race field diminishing as the time goes on, the 80% rule applying, taking riders out. Lap riders also being eliminated from the race. Both are given a race position, but it means less and less riders on course with 2 laps to go. At the line, and Mathieu van der Poel's lead, 39 seconds to Michael Van Torenhout, and now the 2 Baloise Trek squad of riders need to work together. They go through Nice and Van der Haar. They have lost a little bit of ground. It's 8 seconds to Michael Van Torenhout, the World Cup leader, sitting in second position. And the gap being reinforced here between Emil Verstringer, I think, and the chasers behind. Van der Putte, Ron Hart, Mason, Aerts, Verschoor, Van Kessel, De Grosso, Van der Bosch, and Mikkels, the top riders. And this section, well, it caught him out. That was an uncharacteristic slide there for Mathieu van der Poel. So back at the line, Niels van der Putte goes through 1 minute 30 seconds down in 6th place. Then it's going to be Mason and Ron Hart going through. They go through the line. Now some 600 plus metres round the course goes Mathieu van der Poel. Bike change that time around, no surprise, he's had it on the floor. We were looking for that. It was clean tyres, that clean bike. Cheers continue to ring out for the world champion as he makes his way up to the top of this bank. The course designer's throwing the riders up and then back down again. Meanwhile, the amount of water coming down from the pit area down here, making it incredibly wet. A real quagmire as they come around that turn. 2 teammates together. Pit's just separated there. Thibaut just sitting on the wheels there, a little shake of the head there, just unable to go through the gap that was left by Lars van der Haar. Van der Haar on that remount, just moving across a little bit. Now, what can Lars van der Haar, who's caught up to Thibaut, needs to do about Van Torenhout? Can he close him down? He's going to have 2 laps to do so. Van Torenhout will want to stay clear. The bigger points gaps at the front. Yes, Mathieu van der Poel, if he stays where he's going to snuff, take away those 40 points at the top of the standings. It's 10 points down after that for second place, 30 points, and then 25, 22, 21, and so on down to 1. But Van Torenhout will love, I'm sure, to increase that margin at the top. Tournaert's having a bad day today, 11th place for him. Not characteristic on this course, and it does mean that he's going to be losing ground in the series overall. And he is a bit not taking to the start line. Lawrence Feet not taking to the start line. They are both going to lose points. Big style. They're going to drop right down. Pinmoha going to benefit from that. He should move right up there, as should Lars van der Haar. Verschuren also the same. Felipe Orts, well, also at the moment a rider who came in the day inside the top 10 in 8th position. Felipe Orts at the moment in 20th position in the race at the moment, as Niels van der Putten makes his way past on our screens. Ronha has been overtaken by Mason. Mason's up to 7th place, and Pinmoha now down into 8th. Behind him, 9th place, Timo de Grosser just comes around that turn. He's being followed by Joran Verschuren inside that top 10, and then it's Toon Ertz and his teammate Corne van Kessel coming into sight. Ertz on the left is coming to the front. Corne van Kessel immediately behind him. So Van Torenhout, that bike up on his left shoulder. Lars van der Haar, T-boning to the bike on the right-hand side. Lars van der Haar drops it down just that little bit earlier. Up near the top of the climb, Mathieu van der Poel going to be heading down. He's going to be heading down into the descent. The sign says he's the GOAT, the greatest of all time. That's a big argument to make, but it's certainly not one I'd want to fight against, I think. Certainly showing at the moment he's definitely the greatest of this generation. Nobody seems to be able to touch him. Multi-time world champion, multi-time winner of pretty much every race out there. He took the record number of wins when he raced at Zonhoven. He's got a lot of work to do that here today. He'll have to be ready for many more years indeed. Well, champion Van der Poel still looking good on the front. Van Torenhout still chasing that gap on the last of our time checks between them. It's 11 seconds between Van Torenhout and Lars van der Haar and Thibaut Nice. They are fighting it out at the moment for 3rd place, and Lars van der Haar makes a mistake on that descent. That's cost him time. Thibaut Nice is going to come back on his wheel. One mistake and the gap has gone. Meanwhile, problems here. It looks like Emil Verstringen who's lost the chain off here, and he's jammed down the side. It's come off from underneath the chain. He's got to get that back in. He's got to get that drive engaged. Now Emil Verstringen was in 5th place with Niels van der Putten in 6th position. The last time check that they came through, the gap was about 30 seconds, so he had some leeway. How much has he lost? Will he drop down any more? As the bike recovered from that, he'll go in and change it, I'm sure, as he goes through past that pit area. But at the top of that climb, Verstringen now goes into that descent. What is the time gap to the riders behind him? That's going to be absolutely critical. Losing time with that chain issue. Now comes the chasers behind. Van der Putten goes down with Mason behind him. Van der Putten around that turn. Mason with a little bit of a damage. Doesn't lose much speed there with that right foot out. A little bit of a nod across to take a look at the next section, of course, from Mason as he exited that section. Oh, Thibaut Nice maybe just looking a little bit more tired, just going in to take the bike there on that descent. A little bit longer coast in, a little bit longer length over the bike than maybe we'd normally see from him. Now, Michael Vantour announced 32 seconds. He's not losing very much time to Van der Poel at all at the moment. He's hovering around about that 30-second mark. So whilst the race has gone on around him, he's managed to maintain that gap. He's held that lead of Mathieu van der Poel at around about 30 seconds. And Lars van der Haar and Thibaut Nice were hovering around about 45 seconds down on Mathieu van der Poel, about 15 seconds down on Michael Vantour. Now the gap has opened between Thibaut Nice here and Lars van der Haar. Even though Van der Haar did make that mistake on that descent, maybe just got those a little bit better legs. The changeover of bikes in the pit area, just that little bit slow for Thibaut Nice. He takes a look up, quickly back down at the bike here. Lars van der Haar continues, he's picked his line, he's holding that line, and he seems to be losing his chosen line a little bit more often, and it's those fractional differences that could pay off for Van der Haar and penalise Nice as we come in towards the end of this race. The end of lap 6 is fast approaching. We'll have one more lap to go. That'll be signalled by the bell when Mathieu van der Poel gets to the line. Mathieu van der Poel bending the tape, as the saying goes, or in this case bending the branding, having to dismount on the way around. It will be one more lap to go at the line. Lap 6 is going to be complete here. The bell rings out, one more lap to go at Gavere at the 7th round of the UCI Cyclo-cross World Cup. At the moment, Mathieu van der Poel with a 30-second race lead from Michael Vantour out. That's what the time gap's been holding. Has he stretched it out on this section? Meanwhile, Lars van der Haar and Thibaut Nice in 3rd and 4th place, about 45 seconds down at the last time check coming through. It's one more lap for Van der Poel to hold on. He drops down away from the castle. Now, 32 seconds it was. It's 32 seconds again. Almost identical time gap between 1st and 2nd place. Lars van der Haar takes a look over his shoulder at Nice, who is surely tiring. He keeps on being distanced. He keeps on fighting back onto the wheel of Van der Haar. Is he going to find anything on the last lap to go past his teammates? They won't want to take each other out, but they will both want that 3rd place on the podium. Van der Poel, super wide line round here. No dramas, smoothly off the bike, up and running. Remount, minimum energy expended there, just clears the saddle, drops into place, holds the bike as the back wheel drops down. Now look up, just watch that eye line, look where he's keeping an eye on, he's checking where he needs to be. He's not going to remount there as he goes through the mud. He's looking to see what the condition of the track is, how it's deteriorated. As the stringer goes over the line, he's still holding that 5th place. The gap, I think, if anything, it's gone back out again. He's about 10 seconds now, I think, going to separate. It's going to be more. It's going to be 12 seconds now between Verstringen and Van der Poel, despite that issue. Then through goes Mason behind him. We're going to see Del Grosso, Ronhart, Ertz, Verschure, Van Kessel, Van der Bosch, Boris, Main. Now your top 15 riders, or should be, as they hit the line. Through goes Ronhart, through goes Verschure, through goes Tunets. Then it's going to be Van Kessel behind him. It should be Van der Bosch, Boris and Main. Will they come through? Will they have held position? Will they have fractured apart? They're going to have one more lap to decide those positions, and it's a lot less than one lap for Mathieu van der Poel. He's so far in front of the riders behind. Thibaut Del Grosso in 8th place, 2 minutes, 2 seconds down on Mathieu van der Poel, the world champion, the leader of the race, the man who's looking to make this 5 wins here at Gavere at this classic of cyclocross that started in 1955. Gilbert Dellens taking the win there for Belgium. This race running right the way through from then. The odd break for things like COVID, as most of the sporting world took. But barring that, that's the sort of issue that we need now. The gap opening between Nice and Van der Haar here. Well, Van der Haar had put it to Nice on the previous lap. He'd done so. He'd opened the gap this time round. It looks like it's Nice. Now, it looks like Mathieu van der Poel with some debris on that rear mech. It's just hooked in and around. I think he knows about it. I think he's aware that he's got issues on that rear mech. He kicks out of the saddle up here. I can't imagine that if he knows about it, he won't try and do something about it the next time he gets the bike up on the shoulder. It's going to go up pretty shortly here on that long climb up. Michael Van Torenhout changes gear. He's going to come off this roadway, takes a look behind. Thibaut Nice is coming across the gap here. Tell you something, Nice gets up and down faster. These riders going up and down the hillside. Wants to take a quick check what gear's in. How far back is Lars van der Haar's teammate? Van der Haar, long look over the shoulder behind Van der Haar. The stringer should be nearly 45 seconds down. He should be out of the running for the top of 3 positions. But the riders on the way up the slope aren't now. Van der Poel on the big ascent here. Remount both pedals in, engaging the drive. Looks like that drive chain's still holding together. The stringer taking a look back this time around over his shoulder. 5th place at the moment. He'll want to hold on to that top 5. Emil the stringer coming in to today. We're sitting in 14th place in the series overall. He missed the first 2 rounds. Didn't get any points in those. A 3rd place, a 6th place, and a 19th place in the 3 races so far. There's Van der Putte. He's had a win so far. And the best ride by Mason has been a 5th place. His best ever result in a World Cup. And he's managed that in this season. So riders really on form, but nobody touching Mathieu van der Poel. Continues to carry that pace around that turn. As Van Torenhout is in 2nd place, looking secure. Behind, though, Thibaut Nice has opened the gap back up on Lars van der Haar. He's got to hold it together. He can't afford to make any mistakes. Well, the youngster be able to deal with that pressure. He knows that if he makes a mistake, Van der Haar is right behind. He will soon be on his wheels. Sprint and remounts from Van der Poel. Van Torenhout, the bike just moving a little underneath, not too many problems. So now comes Thibaut Nice. Come on, Thibaut, don't throw it away at the last minute. He has a habit of doing a few interesting manoeuvres in the later stages of racing. He's all over that bike, but he keeps it together. Surely that's the last major challenge done. He's just got big traverses. Lars van der Haar looking smoother down here, more controlled. That's maybe just losing a little bit more speed. Not quite on the edge, a bit like we saw Thibaut Nice down there. Oh, the applause rings out in the pit as Mathieu van der Poel takes the clean bike. He makes his way out from the pit. I know they've witnessed a fantastic ride yet again by the world champion, doing what Mathieu van der Poel does. He's going to come into this descent. We're waiting to see where the chase was. It was sitting at about 32 seconds. Michael Van Torenhout has pulled the time back down to 25 seconds. But to be honest, it might as well be 25 days. He's not going to make that back to Van der Poel unless Van der Poel has some incredible major mishap between now and the finish. Oh, that was a weary run up from one bike to the other by Michael Van Torenhout there. What can Nice do? Has Nice got any more spring? He's in the ascendancy. He's dropped Van der Haar. He's making his way across. He'll know he's closer now to Van Torenhout than he is to Van der Haar. He's got to make this count, but under pressure, very easy to make mistakes, and it's not necessarily the section of course that's going to suit him. As the Mexican wave follows Van der Poel up the climb, Van Torenhout into the descent, drops it into the rut. Thibaut Nice holds the wide line, then decides to take the inner rut. He's going to have fast feet. He can't make a mistake here. Hauls the bike round. And he's prone to doing that. Has it cost him time? Van Torenhout's aware of the danger. He knows he can't ease off now. Thibaut Nice, he's got his eyes focused in front of him. He knows what he has to do. Can he do it? We're on the last lap. We're over an hour's racing. We're 1 hour and 4 minutes into the race here at Gavere. And Mathieu van der Poel is not yet over the top of the climb. Well, Lars van der Poel getting the applause and the Mexican wave on his way out. Van Torenhout, I think, has responded to the pressure from Thibaut Nice. He's tried to close. I'm not sure he's got enough left in the tank to close down on second place. He won't give up, though. He knows one mistake, one slip, one jam chain, one problem with the drive chain, you're going to be in trouble. This man shouldn't have any of those. On to the penultimate bridge he goes. Second to last bridge ascended. He's going to drop down. He's got the bridge that steps over that big green fencing to his right or left to do. He's got a 180-degree turn onto the tarmac, and then it is the run down the finishing straight, and it's going to be another win for Mathieu van der Poel. Over the bridge, a look over his shoulder. It's clear behind. He's got 27 seconds of the last time check. Round the turn, onto the start, finishing straight. He started the race on the second row of the grid. He started the day in 18th place in the World Cup standings. He's adding another win to his collection. Mathieu van der Poel takes away the win here at Gavere. He makes it 5 victories in Gavere in total. What a ride. The world champion does it again. It's going to be second place. He's going to take away another big haul of points, 30 points in the bag for Michael van Torenhout. The World Cup leader will extend his lead at the top. It's going to be another podium for Thibaut Nice here. He's back on form. He was flying into the Saint-Lazare, and the European champion makes it a podium here today in the mud of Gavere. He's going to move up those rankings. He's going to be followed to the line by his teammate Lars van der Haar. Van der Haar comes across in 4th position. He's one of the few riders inside of a minute of our world champion and race winner Mathieu van der Poel. Behind, Emil Verstringer hauls himself to the top of the bridge for the last time. Niels van der Poel, the winner from Horst, chasing Emil Verstringer to the top of that, but he's not going to pull back the youngster. He had his drummers, he had his scares on the way to line. It's another top 5 here today. Good ride by Emil Verstringer. He's going to take the high fives on the way to the line. 5th place, Emil Verstringer here at Gavere at round number 7. 6th place on his way to the line will be Niels van der Poel. Van der Poel not to be a win today, but he is clear of the sprint that's unfolding behind. That's between Mason and Del Grosso. Del Grosso's going to take that for 7th. It's going to be an 8th place for Mason. So his good season continues, riding well in the World Cups. Behind him, it will be Joran Verschuur. It could be a 9th place, another top 10 for him. So more points in the bank. Tough day at the office, so you can see him just a little shake of the head there as he came over the line. Tournets. Well, we've seen people with good days at the office. Today has not been a good day for Tournets. A man who's been on the podium here before, not to be today. And from going in 2nd place in the World Cup, he has hemorrhage points today. He comes over the line, rounding out the top 10. And that means that he's going to have to look to those standards, to the calculations when they're done, to see where he's going to finish the day. Fortunately for him, Elizabeth, his nearest challenger, not taking to the start line, and the long-time challenger, Pim Ronhaar, just making his way in towards the line. So Pim Ronhaar, for a long time, was a long way in front of Tournets. He's gone back behind him here, and that means that Etz is safe from Ronhaar's points haul today. Van der Haar, though, has collected points, so is Verschuur and Van der Poel and Nice. They were all ahead of Tournets. Behind Ron Hart, Mikael Boris comes through. He's followed in through the line by Toon Van der Bosch. Good to see Van der Bosch back up near the sharper end of the race. That'll be a great ride by Thomas Main. A 15th place here today for Main. And it's not that far off his best place, which was in 2020, which was 9th. But certainly a lot better than his 30th last year. David Manu ahead of Jens Adams. Both coming through just ahead of Felipe Ors. Ors going to be chasing down to the line. It's going to be Janti Bickels, who's our next rider in through. Another rider who goes well when it gets money, going to be inside the top 20 here today. Remember, 82 riders on that start line. Well over an hour of racing ago. In fact, an hour and 9, nearly an hour 10 of racing for the riders hitting the line at the moment. Well, the ever popular Felipe Ors comes through 19th position. Our top 20 should be rounded out, I suspect, here by Mies Hendricks. Looking for the rider in that green jersey to make his way up. Top 20 is going to be rounded out by Mies Hendricks. Hendricks, another of our regulars on a good season this season. So Hendricks in through the line, rounds out the top 20 riders here today at Gavere. They chase the leader, but there was no catching Mathieu van der Poel, finishing the race, taking his 5th victory here at Gavere. He's been on that podium so many times. He did it again today in style. Michael Van Torenhout taking away 2nd place, extending his lead at the top of the standings. And Thibaut Nice, another good day at the office for him. What will happen when we go into the second half of our season? Your official results confirmed with your top 10 riders there. Don't forget you can catch up with all of the results at www.uci.org. Click on to Cyclo-cross as your discipline, and then you can get yourself to the Race Hub, which has the live results, the confirmed results, the standings. As you see, the top 20 rounded out there by Mies Hendricks, 4 minutes 31 seconds down on the winning race time of Mathieu van der Poel. Don't forget you can follow the World Cup, and you can see just how our riders get on as we move into this second half of the season. Can Michael Van Torenhout take that leader's jersey all the way to our last race?
Congratulations with your 2nd spot, finally on the podium in Gavere. What does it mean for you?
Yeah, it means a lot. It's a very hard race, so yeah, it's very beautiful to stay on a podium behind Mathieu, and yeah, it's a very hard race, but I like the hard races.
In the last lap, Thibaut Nice came close.
Yeah, the last lap was and the lap too much for me, but yeah, I hold it, and yeah, I'm very proud of it.
Michael Van Torenhout, eindelijk op het podium in Gavere, een wedstrijd die jou eigenlijk ligt. Hoeveel deugd doet dat?
Ja, heel veel. Ja, ik was wel opgebrand vandaag om een goede prestatie neer te zetten. Ja, en ik was eigenlijk van in het begin mee in de wedstrijd, en ja, ik heb gewoon mijn eigen wedstrijd proberen rijden, en ook niet geprobeerd om mee te gaan met Mathieu, want dat zou ook gevaarlijk zijn om jezelf op te blazen. En ja, dan heb ik mij gefocust op die 2e plaats.
Waarom was je er zo opgebrand om hier een goed resultaat neer te zetten?
Ja, omdat eigenlijk wel een cross moest zijn die mij goed ligt, en het is eigenlijk de voorbije jaren nog nooit niet echt gelukt om mee te doen voor dat podium. En ja, dan is het wel heel mooi om dit jaar wel lukt, en zeker in die leiderstrui. Ja.
Die 2e plaats kwam nog een klein beetje in het gevaar in de allerlaatste ronde. Plots was Thibaut Nice daar op een handvol seconden. Had jij hem heel de tijd in de gaten?
Ja, ik had eigenlijk de hele wedstrijd tegen mezelf gezegd, wacht tot de laatste ronde om dan op die klim toe te slaan. Maar ja, de laatste ronde kon ik gewoon niet meer toeslaan, en moest ik gewoon ja, afzien tot boven en hopen dat hij er boven nog niet bij was. En ja, dat was net voldoende.
Ik zag je daarnet heel even naar jouw hand grijpen. Ik zie wat bloed, is het oké?
Ja, ik denk dat als je ergens de bocht wil afsnijden, dan raakt iedereen wel een keer een paaltje. Dus ja, dat zijn de handen van een crosser, denk ik.
Dankjewel, Michael Van Torenhout.
So Michael Van Torenhout's ride, breaking clear from Thibaut Nice and from Lars van der Haar, meaning he takes 30 points away from today to add to the 140, which when I went to school meant that he has 170 points at the top of the series standings. He's going to have extended his lead there because Toon Ertz not putting in a big point score. Ellie Isbit not taking to the start line. Pim Ronhaar losing even more points, and Lawrence Feet not taking to the start. Van der Haar, Verschuren, having both a good rise, but they're not going to challenge as we move on from here in Gavere to Besançon. That race coming to you on Sunday. Some hard racing, and you can just see Hugo Anania France there just giving the barriers a bit of a cuddle as he takes in a bit of oxygen there. It's a brutal race, brutal conditions. You can see the state of the mud. And as the spectators try and make their way back through the course. So Marcel Meissen just refreshing himself as our crowds make their way towards the podiums, make their way from the side of the barriers. If you can get yourself down to a cyclo-cross race, do it, get down the side, see just how fast the riders are in real life. In person, down at the side of a race course is one of the best places to be. Don't forget, we've got lots of great World Cups coming up. Besançon, Dendermonde, Benidorm, Maasmechelen and Hoogerheide. Make a weekend of it on the 25th and 26th of January. And the week after, it will be the World Championships at Leven in the Pas-de-Calais area, northern France. We'll see the World Championships kick off with the team relay. Our junior men and women, our under 23 men and women, and the elite men and women all taking to the race route out and around the area just to the north of Paris. Make sure if you get the chance, you get yourself down there. We can't guarantee necessarily the soundtrack will be to your taste, but I'll tell you something, the racing will be. It'll be absolutely fantastic. So let's take a look back at today's racing here at Gavere. So from the start, this start ultra critical, big issues out on the rider's left or right hand side. That worked its way and cascaded down through the race field, really changed the shape of the racing for some of the riders. This big ascent and descent around the course really making life difficult. If you aren't in position at the right time, you're going to really be battling. After the initial kick out, 4 riders going clear. Michael Van Torenhout, the series leader, the world champion, and Mathieu van der Poel. We saw Pim Ronhaar up there challenging along with Thibaut Nice, the European champion, but it was Pim Ronhaar who was distanced first from the group. Then a real fight developed between Michael Van Torenhout and Thibaut Nice as Mathieu van der Poel continued to ride clear. Just that little bit extra pressure on the pedals, that little bit smoother line, not making maybe quite as many mistakes. The speed, the momentum that he carried, just continuing to stretch that lead until he had about 30 seconds lead on the chasers behind. Michael Van Torenhout managed to shed Thibaut Nice. Thibaut Nice kept on coming back at him. Lars van der Haar managed to move his way through the rest of the race field, making his way, almost coming into contact with the riders in 2nd and 3rd place. At once past Thibaut Nice, Lars van der Haar making a mistake on the descent, losing momentum, allowing Thibaut Nice to start to go back clear once again. Lars van der Haar continued to chase his teammates and kept going all the way to the line. No catching Mathieu van der Poel, his 5th victory at Gavere. He takes away another win in the stripes of world champion. In the jersey of the series leader, 2nd place went to Michael Van Torenhout, and Thibaut Nice managed to get back in front of Lars van der Haar and take away a 3rd place position. Well, you can hear them as the spectators walk through. You can see just how tough the conditions. The rain holding off, and our spectators getting treated to a world-class race here. What a ride by our world champion. He had incredible form as always. He took away the win in well, he took the weigh-ins on home and he took away
Mathieu van der
his
Poel, many
fifth win.
congratulations with your third consecutive win. Did you enjoy the Mudfest?
It was getting harder and harder every lap, and I was also not focused enough, so I was starting to make a lot of mistakes, and then I was getting a bit annoyed at myself. So I was happy to cross the finish line.
Did you have to dig deep to take this one?
Yeah, it's always a hard race. I wanted to try and to win as good as possible with not the gap being too big, and Michael was quite strong in the back, so he made me push until the finish line.
Mathieu van der Poel, proficiat met jouw derde opeenvolgende overwinning. Welk gevoel overheerst na zo'n modderfeestje?
Ja, het was enorm lastig. Vorig jaar was een beetje hetzelfde. Het werd elke ronde nog lastiger omdat de modder dikker wordt en er viel eigenlijk bijna niet meer door te rijden.
Is het moeilijk dan om de focus te houden?
Ja, ik had halverwege de wedstrijd een mooi gaatje en ik wou het eigenlijk een beetje op die afstand houden. En ik was voor mijn doen niet gefocust genoeg en ik begon echt veel fouten te maken en een beetje kwaad op mezelf te worden, ook omdat ik sommige stomme fouten maakte. En Michael was eigenlijk daar echt nog druk aan het zetten, dus die heeft me wel onder druk blijven zitten tot op het einde.
Je moet diep gaan in zo'n wedstrijd. Zijn dat inspanningen die je ergens meeneemt naar het voorjaar op de weg naar de Oude Quaremont? Bijvoorbeeld derde keer Oude Quaremont en het duel met Pogacar?
Ik hoop het wel. Dat is toch een beetje de reden waarom ik cross. Maar ja, Asper, zeker in deze condities, is altijd lastig. Ik denk voor iedereen. En ik heb het gevoeld.
Morgen is er het duel. Enfin, komt ook Wout van Aert opnieuw in het veld. Heel veel crossliefhebbers kijken daar naar uit. Hoe zit dat bij jou?
Ja, het is iets wat ik al meer dan 10 jaar doe, denk ik, tegen Wout rijden. Dus het voelt een beetje vertrouwd aan als hij erbij is.
Het zou er vrij snel bij liggen, hebben we daarnet begrepen. Vrij droog.
Oké, dat had ik niet echt verwacht met de regen die er is gevallen de voorbije dagen. Dus we zullen het morgen zien.
Succes ermee. Dankjewel en proficiat.
So well done to Mathieu van der Poel. Another race win on his cyclo-cross palmares. Another win in the Rainbow Bands of World Champion. Due to defend that World Champions jersey in leaving. What a great ride. What a great performance. And what a masterclass from the man who considered by many the greatest of all time. Well, the current master, Mathieu van der Poel, taking away the win here today. Really good to see those arms aloft. I look forward to the season going forwards. And it's good to see some of our younger riders making their way back into some form, including Thibaut Nys.
Thibaut Nys, many congratulations with another podium spot in the World Cup. How important is that for you?
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's a totally different race than last week, and it's good to have to keep the flow going and to prove again that I'm in a good shape for the moment. And it was I enjoyed it from start to finish.
You almost ended up second in the last lap.
Yeah, I had some good parts on the course and some less good parts, and I think Michael had a little bit more of a constant or like a more supple pace than myself. So it was a bit fighting with the mud today, and but in the end I think third was the best I could do.
Hoe belangrijk is dit voor jou, Thibaut, om voor de tweede keer op rij op het podium te staan in de Wereldbeker?
Ja, het was goed om na vorige week op een totaal ander parcours toch wel dat vertrouwen er nog eens te krijgen om op zo'n cross een mooie uitslag te rijden. En we wisten natuurlijk dat als Mathieu eens ging doorduwen dat het heel moeilijk werd. Maar daarnaast voelde ik mij Michael wel de tweede en de derde sterkste in koers. Het is alleen jammer dat ik die tweede plaats niet meer kon bemachtigen, maar ik ben heel blij met het podium.
Ik kwam wel nog dicht in die allerlaatste ronde. Seconde of 5 was het plots.
Ik had zo'n goede en mijn slechte stroken op parcours. En, die klim lag me heel goed en ook de strook daarna wel richting de tweede post. En daarna had ik een paar slechte puntjes waar ik heel moeilijk grip kon houden op het achterwiel. En dan is het moeilijk om de aansluiting te maken. En, ik ben tevreden. Op naar morgen.
De start was ook zo'n plaats waar het goed ging vandaag bij jou. Je was bewust gestart met een iets hogere bandendruk voor dat stuk op het asfalt.
Ja, een klein beetje, omdat ik toch wel met heel platte banden aan het rijden was vandaag. En ja, gaat het niet echt nodig in de start. En ja, het heeft wel geloond, want ik krijg de eerste halve ronde wel op kop. En dan maak ik een klein foutje.
Was de schuine kant een minder goed stuk wanneer je die modder probeerde weg te duwen van jouw wiel?
Ja, ik wou even met een band zo wat vrijmaken, dat ik iets meer grip kon vinden. Maar daardoor ging ik eigenlijk onderuit. Ja, dat was een beginnersfoutje.
Succes morgen.
Dank u wel.
So Thibaut Nice coming back into form. One or two little mistakes, just pulled the mud from his front tyre and weighted the downhill side of the bike, just hitting the deck. Those little mistakes, if you can eliminate those, how far up would he be? Would he be challenging with Mathieu van der Poel? Only time will tell, but certainly looking like he's starting to come into form as we move into the second half of the World Cup season. We'll be looking to collect a few more podiums on the way. Riders readied and heading to the podium for the awards ceremony. Just going past Sven Neyser, the man who has the record of 9 wins here in Gavere on the course here underneath the Gavere Castle. The stage erected just in front of it. The riders making their way to the stage for the awards ceremony of round number 7 of the UCI Cyclo-cross World Cup for 2024-2025.
Dames en heren, mag ik uw aandacht na een geweldige wedstrijd voor de huldigingsplechtigheid. De afloop van deze wedstrijd die meetelde voor de UCI Cyclo-cross World Cup, deze veldritklassieker hier in Gavere. De bloemen en felicitaties die gaan namens de gemeente Gavere zo meteen uitgereikt worden door de burgemeester, de heer Hugo, door de schepen van sport, de heer Tuiters, en door de schepen van evenementen, mevrouw Ankie Dollander. We gaan beginnen met de derde in de uitslag. Heeft een verbeterde strijd geleverd en dat heeft hem deze podiumplaats opgeleverd. De regerend Europees kampioen mag u applaus in ontvangst nemen. Op plaats 3 geëindigd, Thibaut Nice.
Third place for European champion Thibaut Nice. Good to see him back on that podium these last few races. It's interesting to see what he does as we move onwards from here.
Een trapje hoger op de dichtste ene plaats geëindigd als leider in het tussenklassement van de wereldbekerveldrijden. Mag ik je applaus voor Michael van Koenhout.
So the World Cup leader takes second place here today ahead of Thibaut Nice, behind our race winner, extending his lead at the top of the series standings.
Vandaag alweer de beste plek op deze loodzware omloop in Gavere. Mag ik u overwees applaus voor Mathieu van der Poel.
Race winner is the world champion Mathieu van der Poel, who steps up on to the top step of the podium, a view he's familiar with. He gets the flowers as race winner, third consecutive win, 5 wins in this race overall, and we'll be looking, I'm sure, to go forward from here. So our riders ready for the national anthem of our race winner, national anthem of the Netherlands. Your top 3 in the race here today at Gavere. A fantastic battle in the muddy slopes. taking third place, Thibaut Nice taking second place, Michael Van Toren out on top step. The race winner, the world champion Mathieu van der Poel, taking away victory on a tough day with tough conditions. Some amazing rides from our top three and throughout the race field. Well, that is race number 7 complete. The 7th round finished, done and dusted as Thibaut Nice throws the flowers to the crowd. We are going to get ourselves ready for round number 8. And when we get to round number 8, Michael Van Toren will have extended his lead 170 points ahead of Tunes, who has 134 points. Pim Romhaar in third, Lars van der Haar in fourth, Joran Verschoor in fifth, Ellie Isabit not starting, dropping down the standings, and that is going to continue. Michael Van Toren pulls on that leader's jersey once again. It's looking more and more a good fit for the Tourman. At the top of the standings, Michael Van Toren of Belgium, the leader of the World Cup at the end of round number 7. So next up on the World Cup calendar, it is Besançon. We follow that with Dendermonde, Benidorm, Maasmechelen and Hoogerheide. Maasmechelen and Hoogerheide, a joint ending weekend, Saturday and Sunday, to round out the World Cup. Make sure you tune in for all of those races as the season reaches the conclusion of the World Cup. At that last weekend, we then will head into the World Championships in Leuven. And that will take place in France the first weekend in February. The crowds are heading off. Some have hit the bars already, I'm sure. Time to get some recovery done and be ready for the next round. But from me, Matt Payne, and all the team here at Gavere, stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye.